There we go. Right.
Who might be effect?
No.
Not really hard.
Nigel couldn't make it. I already said he could make it.
Don't think this hard.
Phil, Predator guy, always manages to do well, but he is a shocking person. You guys got a trophy? No.
It was pre-bit.
My life from Rashad Mendes.
Hello and welcome to a version of the LOC Report that now has audio. Apologies for any of that. Clearly, my computer decided to take the weekend off and didn't let me know. But we are back again mid-season. Chris is back as well, of course. How's it going, Chris?
Very well. Yes, it's, as we were saying before, it's lovely to be back with our breakfast show on a Sunday morning. The old game day preview show. So it's it definitely gets more hyped up than the midweek. But yes, hopefully we can give you a better product today as a result of knowing something. Exactly,
because we absolutely have clarity on who's playing, who's not, and the lineups are more settled as we know. So we won't delay. We'll get straight into it then, starting with the league news. For the time being, it feels like COVID stuff in the NFL at least feels like it's a bit in the rearview mirror. We haven't had any games significantly hampered by the virus for, I think, a couple of game weeks now. Or this will be the second of the couple, maybe, but which is nice. But the other news we have in terms of LOC, so we'll start off with the transactions, and I was going to jot a few down more, but I'll do them on the fly because I have my initial noted ones down. Just need to find where they are. Here they are. So we have at the top of the list. This was actually one that came in prior to waivers, as it was a Sunday night edition, I think minutes before kickoff, and it was or hours maybe. Gridiron Gang adding DeAndre Swift and dropping Zach Moss. Did that on a whim, I'll be honest. Just why not? They're coming out of the bye week, and obviously Swift had a good game. What do you make of that, Chris?
Yeah, we were saying last week that it's probably time for Lions to move on from their 35-year-old legend, which is it's quite difficult seemingly to do for them, and move on to their quite dynamic second-round pick. And didn't they just do that? And I think
sure did.
It's a very good pickup going forward if Detroit can stay in games and they choose to stick with him, because I really do think that he's got every ability to go on and be that number one guy there. So it's definitely worth monitoring that pickup.
Yeah, as you say, he's the pass catching back, so as well, and he's shown good signs of everything. And hilariously, Peterson did still out carry him by one. I think it was 15-14 last game, but yeah, it was obviously like, I can't remember, 40, 50 yards or something for Peterson, and Swift got like 100 and something, so should be an easy choice, shouldn't it? The other big one I picked out, not an addition, but a drop, and not a surprising one given the nature of things, but Julian Edelman, a guy who's been not just a stalwart for the Patriots, but a fantasy stalwart for many a team over the year, dropped, and arguably that is where he deserves to be, Chris.
Absolutely. I drafted him with every intention of him linking up with Cam, and it just hasn't happened. Apart from one real blowout week, it's been very disappointing fantasy wise, and really in real life as well for the Patriots, through their pass attack, because it hasn't really clicked so far. And as you say, it definitely does not deserve to be on a roster based on recent form, and the points that we've seen him score. Just haven't warranted a start recently. So,
no, for sure.
Disappointing.
Yeah, disappointing indeed. The first of the actual waiver wire pickups we have then is a surprising name that was dropped, although his past performance wasn't too great, and it did end up costing someone a week, but we'll come back to that. Matt Ryan for Jerry Jeudy, $25 by your team, Chris. Good addition, coming off a 40-point week.
Yeah, absolutely. I was amazed to see him there, first of all. And then once you see someone like that who's, who can be collected, for a relatively small amount of money, then you've got to go for him. So yeah, it's something that's definitely going to plug a hole for me this week, and I'm sure that he was definitely in high demand from other people who've got bye week quarterbacks. But yeah, I mean, I can sort of see why Mike dropped him because the last 2 or 3 weeks previous to that, he stank. But then he comes back with a massive performance, and there's a bit of instant regret there, I think. But
it's difficult because he was obviously without Julio for much all of those games. He didn't play well, which makes a lot of sense. And then the coaching change as well. So poor timing perhaps, but you are the beneficiary. The next one we have then is Boston Scott for Noah Fant by Tom's Tyrants. That is $17. Obviously the Miles Sanders owner. Without giving spoilers on what happened on Thursday, what do you make of that ad?
Listen, without giving any spoilers, it was key that I think that he got a handcuff, and especially with a guy like Miles Sanders who hasn't really been 100% fit maybe this year. So yeah, I think he needed that cover. It's worth spending the 17 on that on someone to cover, especially his handcuffs. So yeah, I think sensible use of $17.
Matt Ryan was not the only legendary QB to be added on waivers this week, but Drew Brees as well for the Washington football team for $5 by Gridiron Gang. What do you make of that move?
Yeah, I mean, so Drew Brees in years gone by has been a guy who's he's always been on a roster, and it's strange this year to see him being chopped and changed amongst teams and just dropped. But he hasn't quite looked himself. I mean, I suppose he is in his 40s now, so that's natural. But coming in a game, he's playing Carolina this week. I think that's a good matchup for him, especially at home. So yeah, I have $5 pickup, especially in comparison to who else you could have picked up this week on the waivers. That to me is a very decent value pickup, I think.
Yeah, and much like Matt Ryan, we saw the impact of Julio Jones coming back. We haven't seen the impact of Michael Thomas coming back. He's obviously not been there practically the whole season. He got injured in week 1. So he's been having okay games without his best weapons, so fingers crossed when he returns he'll do better as well. The other one I picked out, and we'll cover off a few others after this, Tua Tagovailoa added for Preston Williams for $5 by bucking the trend. What do you make of that one?
Yeah, I mean, say this is a real it's not quite a dart throw, but no one knows what Tua's going to be like, and this is a guy who really could have gone first overall had it not been for a really bad injury in November. So I think that he has everything he needs to be a really decent QB. However, does he have everything he needs to be a really decent QB right now in Miami in their situation? That's what we're going to see. But Ryan Fitzpatrick has done a remarkable job really throughout the first 6 weeks of the season to get them to a point where they feel as though they can bring Tua in and allow him to take over whilst obviously having that support. But yeah, I mean, if he's anything like some of the other rookie QB, we saw Justin Herbert do a very similar thing earlier on in the year. If it's anything like that and has that sort of impact, then that is a really good pickup.
Sure. The few others then, I didn't note it down, but I did want to say it because you are gold added something called a Darnell Mooney. I don't know if you know what that is, but I sure as hell don't. What else we got? Carson Wentz found himself on the team again, bucking the trend, dropping Ryan Fitzpatrick. What else we got? Travis Fulgham was a good ad for $0, I thought, by Ixan, a team that obviously desperately needs warm bodies, and he's seen over 10 targets 3 weeks straight, so nice ad there. And then the biggest one we probably get to, the one I haven't noted down, Antonio Brown, added by my team. We'll just leave it at that because obviously I had to revert the initial transaction. What do you make of the Antonio Brown edition?
Look, Antonio Brown's going to be on he's on the offense to be on this year, I think, outside of Seattle. But you've got to appreciate, I suppose, that this is a guy who, one, isn't going to play from the outset, you wouldn't have thought. And if he does play, how long is he going to play for before he gets in trouble?
The big question.
This is a speculative pickup that is maybe not going to affect you or not going to improve your team through maybe 2 or 3 games after he signs, which presumably is going to be week 9. Yeah, but it does have every intention of especially if you get there later on in the year and the playoffs, it could be a decisive factor there. But we shouldn't forget as well that there still is, a guy called Mike Evans and a guy called Chris Godwin.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And then Antonio Brown fits in somewhere around that, and another quality tight end, and see if Fournette comes back in. So there's
a lot of mouths to feed.
Very much so. But yeah, as a number 3 receiver on any given team, if on his day Antonio Brown is the man.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's the transactions. In terms of trade block, again, Bedetne's shopping Ronald Jones, Odell Beckham Jr., Calvin Ridley, Lamb. Julian might be off this list now, but I haven't been told otherwise. Watson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. For Gridiron Gang, Mike Davis is still on the block. Pakistan, again, as far as I know, the entire team is still available for trade. Should anyone want the entire team? We'll just go straight into last week's games now. They are a week ago, basically. They are a week ago. And our marquee matchup last week was the infamous Cunt Bowl. So let's find out how that happened. Pakistan against the Tuckfields. In week 6, the Cunt Bowl took place between Pakistan and the Tuckfards, and with big bragging rights on the line, struggling Pakistan and what had been a pretty good Tuckfards team so far, dueled out for bragging rights, and Pakistan got bragging rights and then some, as they basically, they did double the Tuckfards score, 152 to 73. Looking down the lineups, we've got Ryan Tannehill, great spot start, getting 37 points. Joe Mixon chipping 13, and AJ Brown, he's back for Pakistan, 18. Justin Jefferson, who started the year on the Tuckfards, 31 points for Pakistan. Amari Cooper, 14, and the special teams in the game too. Justin Tucker, 16, and the Giants, 15. On the other side of the ball, Patrick Mahomes, he did okay, he got 25. Peterson got 12. Chase Claypool got 14, that big waiver addition for the Tuckfards, but outside of that, nothing doing. Pakistan take it, they are now 2-4. The Tuckfards fall to 3-3, and the history of this matchup, I believe, is now in the favour of Pakistan. If we just find where Pat is. We've got the Tuckfards there, so we can have a look. Yes, Pakistan are 4-3 all time against the Tuckfards, so a crucial win in the Cunt Bowl. What did you make of this game, Chris? 2 minutes to tell me how much of a barn burner this one was for Pakistan, at least.
Massively. I mean, we didn't expect this to be this one-sided, I have to say. We said before the game we were really struggling to pick a winner here. But, I mean, in hindsight, this is absolutely not the case. I mean, you just look at this. We were saying before the game, it was Mahomes, Hopkins, and then and maybe the Ravens D, and then just like if everyone else can chip in, get them to 85, 90 points, that would be great. Well, that's it. It didn't quite happen that way, and Mahomes obviously had a decent day, not amazing by his standards, but a decent day. So Peterson gets to 12, and Chase Claypool, who was granted decent pickup, and I think that throughout the course of the year will prove himself to be the number 1 receiver in Pittsburgh. That's it. Other than that, that's it. Obviously, Hopkins gets banged up. That's pretty uninspiring. Singletary hasn't been what anyone expected him to be this year. The Ravens, we said Ravens didn't going to score 30 points a week. They didn't this week. That's it. They collapsed second half. So there's a lot of things you can say about Phil's team that are bad, but for all the things you can say about Phil's team that are bad, inclusive of the bench, by the way, if you want to see absolute hit fire, then look at that. You can say everything good about Pat's team, and before the season started, we obviously previewed everyone's teams, and we were really hot on Pat's team. Well, certainly I was. Anyway, I was a big fan of what he put together, and it's no different now. I mean, you look there. He's brought Tannehill in. That's a really good pick. I think that's going to pay dividends across the course of the year because the Titans look fantastic this year. We said if Mixon can do a good job, then great. He's not playing this week, but he's last week did what he needed to do, got in the double figures. AJ Brown, as a result of Tannehill, Montgomery decent with no touchdowns. Justin Jefferson, Phil must be feeling sick about that, but fair play to Pat. So far he's been worth every dollar of the pickup money that he spent on him. You think Amari's going to be now a surefire number one receiver, especially in a struggling offense, when you would think under Andy Dalton was going to be a little bit more struggling than before, they're going to be a bit more conservative. And the special teams, well, it's a good spot start. The Giants D. I cannot fault Pat this week. It's absolutely brilliant, and exactly what he needed in a really tight spot for him. As for Phil, I really struggle to see where he's going to come back from this. I just don't see how, with the players that he has there, the week in, week out, he's going to be able to get to the points he needs to get to be able to get a credible score. Absolutely.
Well, while you are being blinded by the sun, Pakistan is not being blinded. But what is Pakistan? They've had these couple of boom weeks in between, some obviously some horrendous ones. They're still not quite at full strength. Obviously, they don't have Michael Thomas back, so it's anyone's guess what Pakistan are going to do in a given week.
We saw a similar thing, a couple of years back where Ollie had a similar sort of team where he started very slowly, and then they just got a momentum charge from about now to the end of the season that took them to where they needed to be, and then eventually won the whole thing. I don't know if Pakistan's quite that team, but they certainly got the characteristics of something that could do that, and at the same time, bringing players back in, key players back in, and on the bench he's got Slayton, Samuel, Michael Thomas, he's got Kelly as well. They've got game-changing players, so I think it's one to look out for throughout the next couple of weeks to see if they can pick up a couple of wins and get back to 500 and then go on from there.
Yeah, for sure. We'll go on to our next game then. Before we do that, Raheem Mostert is also on the trade block. I did not mention that one, so for Ixan, if you would like Raheem Mostert, talk to him. Our next game then is Bare Necessities versus your team, Chris, Forge Flyers. Bare Necessities and Forge Flyers faced off the tale of two different teams this week, as Forge Flyers on a 3-game win streak coming into this, while Bare Necessities on a 2-game losing streak, and those streaks continued for both teams as Forge Flyers took it 149-75. They're 4-2 now, winning 4 on the trot. Impressive. And because of that momentous win, Lamar Jackson got 30 points. Derrick Henry exploded for 38 points. James Conner came in with 16. Christian Kirk, what a spot start, 21. And then the special teams, 10 points for Ryan Suckup and 22 for the Cleveland Browns. Great week for Forge Flyers. On the other side, what had been a pretty good team did not turn up this week. Josh Allen only got 19. Travis Kelce got 16 and Jonathan Taylor got 11. Nothing else doing there. So Bare Necessities fall to 2-4 on the back of that. The history of this matchup is 10-6 in favour of Forge Flyers. And Chris, would you please give us the Ray-Ban 2-minute summary of the game?
Honestly, you wouldn't believe it. Anyone who's not in the UK watching this, and I know there's not many of you, it's been raining literally all morning. And looking to do this, and it's just like bright sunshine straight through the window. Anyway, I was really concerned last week that Dave's team had what it took to be able to push me close. I think that it didn't help that he was probably without his two number one starting running backs. Obviously Cook was out, and Gordon was out for other reasons. But I don't think it really would have mattered in the grand scale of things.
No.
Because, it was just a very, very down day for anyone on his team that really he's been really relying on all season. Obviously Kelce had a above average performance. Jonathan Taylor had a really nice day without any touchdowns. But Freeman disappointing, Henderson disappointing, Josh Allen to his standards this year so far disappointing. Not that many yards passing at all. Other than that, obviously Parker got banged up, but just nothing really to be excited about there. But as we say, we've seen what they can do with a full strength team, and I think that going forward they've got nothing to worry about really, because the majority of the components are there. This is just a bad week. On my side, cannot be happier really. Some of the things that I wanted to happen. Christian Kirk coming in, I said picked him up for $8 last week, started him. absolutely beyond my wildest dreams on that one. Steelers D, big effort, huge effort last week. Absolutely turned the Browns over. And then we look at the top three once more, and say Jackson, Henry, and Connor. And I cannot fault what Derrick Henry is doing this year. Derrick Henry has been an absolute gold mine.
Mm-hmm.
And provided that he is doing what he's doing, provided that Connor is keeping consistent points, provided that Lamar, doesn't need to throw very many times if he's doing what he's doing there, fantasy-wise for me. So I don't care what the real-life haters say. That's it. He's doing a grand job. I think the only thing that I can say is that it's always every week it's which receivers to play, and provided I can get that right, then yeah, it's looking up.
Indeed. Good week and a 4-game win streak, no less, for your team. Next game then, if you can call it a game, Ixan against Bucking the Trend. Ixan and Bucking the Trend faced off in week 6, and we previewed this as a bit of a laugher, and that's exactly what it turned out to be. 60-56, non-loss for Ixan, I think you can call that. Going down the lineups, Ben Roethlisberger got 13, Myles Gaskin got 13, and the Patriots D got 11. That's the double digits for Ixan. On the other side, Ryan Fitzpatrick got 22 and Philip Lindsay got 10. That's about as much you need to know about this game, as Ixan somehow takes it and gets the win. Meanwhile, Bucking the Trend falls to 3-3. The history of this matchup all time is 2-0 in favour of Ixan. Yeah, this game made me want to propose a new rule in the AGM that you must score at least 70 points. If neither team in your game scores 70, it counts as a tie.
I think we can do well. I think we can say this. This is going to be this is a rule that I've had for a couple of years now. This doesn't happen very often. I just don't review games like this because there is no skill to winning a game with 60 points to 56. Both teams were awful, and anybody else playing these two teams this week would have won hands down and very comfortably. It's just pure luck that they played against each other in what is a rotten week for either. Mike's going to feel gutted because he probably should have won this game had he not dropped Matt Ryan, but I can understand why he did that.
Yeah.
Fitz come in and done okay, 22 points. But that's not the reason why he's lost this game. The reason why he's lost the game is that the rest of his team scored, a combined 34 points between them, which is just awful. On the other side, Ben's mechanics lucky stars that Myles Gaskin's actually in the team playing the Jets this week. Otherwise, it's much the same. Oh, and the Patriots D played Denver and they scored 11. Congratulations. That's it. He didn't play his best QB. Well, he didn't play his best QB. He played Big Ben over Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton stank on the day. Big Ben was not much better, to be honest, and it wasn't all to do with him. I don't know where these teams go. I don't know what these teams are, because we both of them not 2 weeks ago said, Bucking the Trend, sneaky one in that division. Well, on that basis, far from sneaky. and the bench, well, I know that he's lost Jackson, Jacobs and Metcalf all in the same week, but even so, and Fournette's still to come back. So, there's going to be better weeks ahead, but it didn't sneak to anything. Whilst Ben has very much dodged a bullet there with his half-dead team and half-dead points. So, this one we can just put down Ben hitching up the wagon and certainly putting together the LOC's first Gypsy win of the year the gypsiest of Gypsy wins, and didn't cover it in the transactions as well. Ixan has already dropped $25 Andy Dalton that they bid on only a week ago, so good value there.
No starts, one bench appearance and gone. Anyway, next game then, Tom's Tyrants against the Dream Team. Tom's Tyrants, still searching for their first win, faced off against the Dream Team that had been pretty impressive but did drop their first game of the season the week prior, and they dropped another. It's finally happened. Tom's Tyrants have a win. There are no more winless teams in the LOC, and it was a close one, 79-76. Looking down the lineups, Brady got 18 for Tom's Tyrants. Miles Sanders got 11 before getting injured, but oh my goodness, Young Wei Koo, 20 points from your kicker, ridiculous. sealed the win. On the other side, Matthew Stafford, he only got 14. George Kittle had a good day with 17, and the Dolphins did against the Jets. Did well as well, they got 19, but that is it again for points in this one, I'm afraid, pretty much. History of this matchup. Tom's Tyrants, I believe, own the Dream Team. Yes, they do. They are 10-4 all time against the Dream Team. Before you preview, or review, I should say, this game, Chris, just like to point out, a score of 80 points or more would have beaten 7 teams in the LOC last week. 7.
That's ridiculous.
And this game, both these teams would have lost if you'd scored 80 as well.
Well, I mean, it's certainly the beginning of the bye week season, I have to say. Look, these teams were reasonably evenly matched this week. As we said, there was only 4 points in it, and the kicker's kicking him to 20 points. I mean, wow. Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. But Tom stuck with it. That's it. And to be honest with you, he got the selection absolutely spot on this week. I don't think he could have got any better with the players that he had. So fair play.
No, yeah.
That's it. Yes, Miles Sanders is down again, but he played did okay. Tom Brady, that's it. He's putting together some credible weeks, if not some very solid ones. Other than that, it's nothing really to shout too much about. It's some decent yardage from his receivers, but no touchdowns. But MVP is Younghoe Koo this week. Wow. On the other side of the ball, that's it. I mean, is this what the Dream Team are like without Russell Wilson? You tell me.
I think this is what they are. All season, they've not been putting up eye-popping points. And when they have, it's been because of Russell Wilson.
That's it. His blushes have been absolutely saved by the Dolphins D here, which is something you don't say very often. And I said you have to take your hat off to them. But otherwise, that's it. That is a very, very lackluster performance, and some of the guys that you'd expect to be going for big numbers, who have been recently, the likes of Kareem Hunt, Godwin, Elliott, just haven't shut up for him this week. And that's probably where he's going to be most disappointed. But, he can't afford anything more than this, because Viv's team was absolutely on fire through 5 weeks. And the last 2, not quite.
Not so much. No, definitely not. And, the craziest thing entering this game was, it was going into the Monday night game, or the second of the Monday night games, I should say. Tom's Tyrants were up 79-71, and Viv had Zeke left. And I looked at that, guess Tom's not getting another win this week. Woke up and saw what? How has that happened? So, crazy indeed. Our next game then with a new team named fresh off the press, no less. It was Gridiron Gang against the Mitcher. Gridiron Gang took on the Mitcher Coach Nunn's team in week 6. Gridiron Gang, they came off a win last week. Meanwhile, Ross was coming off a loss, and both of those streaks continued as Gridiron Gang took this one 85-60. Looking down the lineups, Cam Newton came back from his COVID nightmare. He got 17 points. Mike Davis got 10. Will Fuller 18. Kenny Golladay 11. Robert Woods 10. To get the enough points to win this one. For Gridiron Gang on the other side, nightmarish day for Aaron Rodgers, as he only got 4 points. Aaron Jones got 10. Keelan Cole, a bright spot, with 14. Stephon Diggs with 10. And Randy Bullock, the kicker, with 12. But not enough for Ross's team. The history of this matchup all time is now 5-5. So Gridiron Gang level the series. Chris, what's your 2-minute takeaway from this game?
Well, that's it. I mean, you have to say to yourself again, that's it. What's happened to Ross's team? Wheels are falling off the wagon a little bit here. I know that Green Bay had a terrible day, and that's sort of where he's putting his hopes. But if that happens, and that happens more regularly, then what on earth is he going to do? Because he's got nothing else there outside of Alvin Kamara coming back into the team to really save the slump. And it didn't help at the same time as some of the bigger players that he expects. The likes of Evans, obviously Rodgers, Jones got injured. It's a big problem. And so I think that also the big splurge of Rex Burkhead after his big week hasn't off. So obviously he had to play him over anybody else. Didn't have much of a bench last week. It'd be interesting to see what Lev Bell does when he gets to Kansas City and establish. himself. But yeah, he's going to have to hope for better weeks. But at the same time, we're not going to play the Tampa Bay defense every week. So yeah, Aaron Rodgers is not going to score 3 points. We needn't worry too much. He's going to get to 8. He would have surely got to 80 points any other week. Anyway, let's talk about you. You're going to be really, really pleased with your wide receivers, I would have thought.
Yes. Other than Crowder.
Other than Crowder, but then he plays with us absolute suckfest. So, as an only tanking team, that's what's going to happen. But I mean, look at Fuller, Golladay, and Woods. Absolutely where you'd expect them to be. Solid from Newton, reasonably solid from the kicker and the special teams. That's it. But as we alluded to earlier on, the thing to be most happy about, look at DeAndre Swift on the bench. If that is any way a representation of where he's going to be over the next few weeks of the season, that is super exciting for you because you've just found yourself a second running back. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And I need one to replace Mike Davis at some point.
Yeah, you're definitely going to need at least one of them because Mike Davis isn't going to be hanging around there for forever. So yeah, I think that it's a solid 85-point week. I'm not going to go like crazy going.
No.
Because you're facing 60, but it's more of where Ross's team lacked than maybe where your team gained, but certainly a really solid week for your receivers in particular. Indeed.
DeAndre Swift ruining my good coach score right there as well.
Yes.
Our last game of the week then, it was the Ollie Bowl. You are gold against Pedernators. The Ollie Bowl, only one Ollie could win, and that Ollie was Ollie B, as he took this one 144 to 101. Both these teams are going to be feeling pretty good, although you are gold. They would have beaten 8 teams in the league with that score last week, but they were just unfortunate they faced the other Ollie. Looking down, Ollie's team, Deshaun Watson got 40, Ronald Jones 24, James Robinson 11, Julio Jones 26, he's back, Calvin Ridley 13, Clyde Edwards-Helaire 17, en route to that 144. On the other side, Kyler Murray, he's still playing well, 33 points. Adam Thielen got 11, Kenyon Drake finally turned up for 28 points, and the Bears D got 12, but not else much around that. The history of this matchup is now, there it is, 4-3 in favour of Ollie B. So much Ollie bragging rights going on in this one. Ollie keeps up in the divisional race. Meanwhile, Your Gold drops their second game of the season. Chris, Ollie B, just about. Well, not just about. He had a very good day against Ollie G. Yes,
very much so. I mean, this is probably the game of the week for me, and for very different reasons, actually, because you look at Ollie B's team, and that is what you want to see from a team, really, isn't it? I mean, that is 4 decent points pretty much throughout the team until you get to special teams and kicker, that is. But it hasn't been always the case for that. The Colts and Harrison Butker have been great for him for the rest of the year. But yeah, this is what he wanted. Decent from. I mean, say Clyde, no touchdowns, but really, really, really good yardage. How long that's going to last, we'll see. Obviously, Ridley and Julio, particularly Julio back in the team, that's going to give him a massive shot in the arm going forward. So Robinson's been a really decent waiver wire pickup. Ronald Jones once again, that's it. Great performance against not the most ideal matchup neither, but again, that's it. Great while he's there, and Deshaun, well, so he's holding that team together, quite frankly. Not Ollie's team, the Texans. Whilst you look at UR Gold, that's it. There isn't anything really there to be that disappointed about in the top 3. Murray, Thielen, and Drake. Those guys have been propelling him most of the year. That's it. But below that, I mean, obviously John, who gets injured early in the game. That's it. We're looking at that. Marquise Brown. That's it. He's not really hooking up with Lamar because Lamar hasn't been throwing a great deal. And Cooper Kupp, well, that's it. You look at what Robert Woods is doing. He's there, always consistent every week. Cooper's not been quite like that, especially this week. Only 11 yards, and that's not great. And you look at the bench. That's it. I think that there is, there's a lot of guys, big names that you would think could make a difference. Obviously the lack of Chubb is massive as well, having that first round pick. But Tim Patrick there for Denver, I think that he's going to be the number 1 guy there now, and maybe we'll see him being bought into the lineup a little bit more. But to get to 100 points with those guys, leaning heavily on Murray and Drake, I grant you, 60 of those 100 points came from them. Is still an achievement, and as we know, you need to score as many points as you can this year and next year and however many years going forward, because that's what we're looking to transition to. So but still, that's a timely win for Ollie Burdett's team, and one that I think, was really needed for him to improve a bit of morale, perhaps.
Absolutely, yeah. He attracted a lot of points against so far this season, so nice for him to get a win despite still getting conceded on quite a lot.
Indeed.
Going to the excuse me. Oh my goodness. Going to the milestone standing and stats now. There we go. Got there eventually. Looking at the standings first, so Southampton division, UL Gold could have extended the lead over the division with a win against Ollie, but it doesn't. He falls to 4-2. Meanwhile, Badetne's jump up into second now at 3-3 over Phil, who lost. Still 3-3, but third on points. Pakistan as well doing their best to keep tabs, 2 games behind at 2-4 at the bottom there. In the Portsmouth division, we have a new leader. Forge Flyers jumps up 5 spots in the league to take the top spot in the Portsmouth division, and the number 2 seed, no less, at 4-2. Ixsan also 4-2 with their absolute laugher of a win. So they're keeping up. And amazingly, despite only scoring 60, only 23 points behind your team, Chris. So they have actually been scoring okay up till that.
Yeah.
Bucking the trend at 3-3, and then Ben Acestes, who's scored more than anyone at 2-4 at the bottom there, but have conceded, I believe, a league high 678 points so far. Then the Winchester division, again another 4-2 leader, but with their loss they missed their chance to extend their lead. Luckily for them, Ross's team lost, so they remain at 3 wins, but they're 3-3. Gridiron Gang jump up to 3-3. Meanwhile, Tom also gets his first win at 1-5 now. Looking at the breakdown for last week, the Dream Team still at the top, but they've not been great for the last 3 weeks. You can see that they had an 8-3 week, but they've bookended that by 2, 5, and 6 weeks. But Detonators at second, rightfully with that score and the scores they have been posting. They had 9-2 record last week. My dad's team still in third, but they are slipping the last couple of weeks. Not great. The more we look down, bucking the trend, 0-11 in the middle there, and Ixan, as we know, 2-9. We're lucky to face bucking the trend last week. And Pakistan still at the bottom, but they went from an 0-11 week to an 11-0 week. How often do you see that? Not very.
Very rarely, yes.
Very rarely.
Just shows what locked up potential they've got. My faith in them isn't yet.
Exactly. Looking at the coach ranking now, we have a new leader in bucking the trend. We know they didn't have a lot of players to have on the bench to score points, but over the last 3 weeks they've been pretty good. Even the last 4 weeks, to their credit. Ross's team as well, but again they've had bye weeks and injuries and such, so they're still at the top. Gridiron Gang, obviously with DeAndre Swift doing well, falls down the rankings a bit. Ixan, remarkable last 4 weeks, although it's probably just due to all of their bench being injured. Less than 3 points left on the bench. Ridiculous. Going down though, Tom's Tyrants, they finally got their win and they had a perfect 0 last week as well. Pakistan obviously maximising with their high score last week, and Ollie as well, so the bottom 3 teams in coach score all having good weeks in terms of selection. Bringing us on to the true rankings, Dream Team still at the top, but there are definitely teams biting at their heels. Ross's team still second, again, they've not had a good time in recent weeks, but still hanging on at the top. Ixan there as well. Lots of teams you feel like may not be there at the top of the true rankings for much longer, with teams like Badetnators and Forge Flyers hot on their heels. We won't go to the milestones tab because I already picked out the round numbers to save time. Those round numbers are, Coach Taylor notched his 10th regular season career loss. Well done, Coach Taylor. And you, Chris, you notched your 80th regular season win, so well done.
Oh, well, I'm in the 80s club now. How about that?
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So we'll go on to next week's previews now. Should we stop in the power rankings since we actually have them for once before the game?
Yeah, go on, let's have it.
So, Tom, go read it if you haven't already. Power rankings is out. So from bottom to top, we have Tom Tyrants in 12. down 1 spot. Pakistan in 11th, up 1 after that massive week. Tuckfards at 10th, non-mover. Gridiron Gang 9th, non-mover. Bare Necessities, they did have a few good weeks, but they are starting to slide down now after a couple of bad ones, to 8 from 5. Ixan's still holding at 7 somehow, but Ednators at 6. Forge Flyers up 3 with their 4 wins in a row, bucking the trend, holding in 4th. The Dream Team have dropped off the top spot for the first time in a while. They're down at 3. Your Gold slides up to 2, and Ross's team up 1 as well, despite the loss last week. What do you make of the power rankings?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of movers and shakers. Well, I say movers and shakers, especially there at the top. I mean, yeah, I went from 10th to 5th. I mean, yeah, that's a big jump, no? But no, I think that there are some guys in there, as we've spoken about today. I think with a bit of, I don't know, hidden potential that's possibly not shown in the power rankings. But you have to, these are shown, based on what they've seen from the previous week. And I think that yeah, there are some, especially with the number 1 overall. I think that if the Packers aren't on, then that cannot be correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think you want to see, certainly for the top 3, you want to see a whole team that's full, of consistent players. I would say that's got the potential to go big. Yeah, Ross didn't have a good week last week, but I think that behind them, you are Gold and the Dream Teams particularly, who had a real down week. Still deserve to be in contention for the top spot, I think. Yeah,
for sure.
Ollie Burdett's team deserves to be above mine.
Well, you're both next to each other, so that's quite a 5.5, shall we? Moving on to week 7 then. So we have obviously had the Thursday night game played, but it wasn't too impactful, I would say. So the teams we have to choose, or the games we have to choose from for the marquee matchup this week, Chris, it's intra-divisional week. Gridiron Gang against Detonators, Ixan against the Tuckfards, Bare Necessities against Pakistan, the Dream Team against UR Gold, the Mitcher against Forge Flyers, and Tom's Tyrants against Bucking the Trend. Anything jumping out there for you?
I think that everything else, apart from Ross's team and my team, and your team and Ollie. So I think Gridiron Gang Detonators, I think that's always a good game.
Okay, let's go with it then. So Gridiron Gang against Detonators, 2 founding teams, is the marquee matchup for week 7. Here we go. Gridiron Gang take on Detonators in week 7. 2 teams looking to keep up in the playoff race. Both 3-3, both on a 2-game win streak. Who will extend that and who will break that? Well, Detonators are projected to win this one at the moment, 96-87. If we take a look at the lineups for Detonators, in terms of who is coming in and out of the lineup, I believe is Odell Beckham Jr., yeah, the only change. He comes in over James Robinson for them. On the other side of the ball, DeAndre Swift comes into the lineup over an injured Jamison Crowder. Mike Williams comes in over Will Fuller. And what else? Tyler Lockett comes in over Robert Woods. So quite a week of change there for Gridiron Gang. The history of this matchup all time, the Detonators are 9-4 against Gridiron Gang, so the history has it on their side. I believe we may have just lost Chris. What perfect timing. So while Chris is gone, I will filibuster and talk through the projections of the game. So we know Ollie came off his massive week last week, and this week, well, Deshaun Watson's playing Green Bay. We saw Brady didn't do too good against him, but he didn't have to last week. You got to think they're going to be better, and he'll have to be better. Chris is back. Hello, Chris. Can you hear us, Chris?
I can. That's it. I hate to say it, because of the extremely strong October sun coming through my window, my iPad has overheated.
Unreal.
This is ridiculous. So anyway, I'm back on sort of mediums that a bit more 20th century. Right, that's it. Marquee matchup.
Yes, but that is against Gridiron Gang. I didn't really start, so you just take it away and start talking through this.
That's okay. We can do that. Right, that's it. And sorry, everybody, you have to see the side of my head for a little bit because I'm now not quite in front of the screen that I wanted to be in front of. Okay, so let's talk about Benedetto's first. So the key thing is that can Benedetto's keep up their unbelievable momentum from last week and translate it into this week? And I really do think that they can. The reason why I think that is that Deshaun's playing Green Bay in Houston. You'd like to think they're going to be a bit of a points fest there. That's same thing to Julio and Calvin Ridley at home against Detroit. That is a absolutely plum matchup for both of those guys. In a game you'd expect Matt Ryan to be throwing an awful lot in as well. Same as we see Ron Jones against the Vegas Raiders and also Clyde against Denver. That's it. Both of those those guys for at least this week anyway are still the number one ball carrier, still in reasonably good matchups. And he's playing Washington against Dallas, which if last week anything to go by, wasn't great. And they say a sneaky one as well. Harrison Barker's kicking in Denver as well, as we know. They said the ball goes one further up there. On your side of the ball, it's the same sort of thing, really. I mean, you say San Francisco without I think 2 starting safeties this week. So you'd like to think that Cam would have a better day of it throwing the ball. So Mike Davis against New Orleans, say he's really been matchup proof the last few weeks. So Swift and Golladay against Atlanta. Atlanta have been a bit of a joke defensively this year, so we'll see how that goes. That's it, but I think it's going to go well. Same with Mike Williams. I said massive game last week, back in playing Jacksonville, also a joke on defense at home with Justin Herbert, my guy. I'm expecting big things, and Tyler Lockett playing with Russell Wilson in Arizona in another points fest. This game could be huge, is what I'm saying here. This game could be huge. I think Benedetto's have probably got the best of it, but Nathan, I think you've got a chance in this one, my man.
It's certainly profiles to be hopefully a high scorer. Both of us have a lot of difficulty with selection as well. If we go to the bench this week, Ollie's got 2 receivers playing Cleveland who have been a 7 defense, and Brandon Cooks, who's obviously been resurgent, and James Robinson, who's obviously the main running back for Jacksonville. On my side, you've got guys like Robert Woods, Will Fuller, solid guys, but just in bad matchups this week. Obviously, Fuller playing Alexander and Woods playing the league best pass defense, I believe, in Chicago. So, I think you've got to, for me, if I'm picking, I'm going with Ollie just because my team has been good in the wake of obviously losing my top 2 draft picks. But Ollie's team has been on a pretty much other level. I was really hoping to get Matt Ryan in for waivers this week just to offset that Jones and Ridley probably good game. Didn't happen, but I don't think it will really matter. I think Ollie's going to win this one. Hopefully I still get a good amount of points, but we'll see. Who are you picking for this one?
I think Benedetto's had every chance of being able to extend their lead here. Last week was not a fluke by any means. It's a similar type of thing this week. They've got all the matchups going for them. With the key players that they have, as much as I think this is going to be a real high scoring game, I think it's going to go in their favour, but only very just. I do think that your team is, you certainly has a chance of scoring some good points, but the guys who Ollie has are sadly on better offences than your guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Our next game then, it is Ixan against the Tuck Farts. Ixan take on the Tuck Farts, 2 teams looking to find their footing a bit as they've been on split ground recently, but the projections currently have this one going not on a robust 79 to 78 point win for Ixan. So we'll see what happens. Ixan already have had a player play, Travis Fulgham, he got 7.3 on Thursday. Outside of that, Giovanni Bernard comes into the lineup. of Raheem Mostert, who was injured. Joe Mixon obviously is not playing this week. Chris Carson, he's back from bye in favour of Myles Gaskin, who goes on to bye. Jared Cook, I believe, comes in as well for Mark Andrews, who's on a bye. And maybe Darren Waller comes in over Ryuk as well. So I think this is a week of a lot of change. They might not even be fielding the same 5 skill positions that they fielded a week ago. Insane. On the other side of the ball for the Tuck Fards, well, there's no question why the projection is low. Emmanuel Sanders is on the COVID list, so he will not play against the Panthers. Outside of that, I'm guessing there's no other change there right now. It doesn't appear so. So you would think probably... Oh no, Chenault, came out probably for Sanders, but that will arguably be reversed, or perhaps Juju goes in instead. The history of this matchup all time is 7-10 in favour of the Tuck Fards. Chris, does this have potential to be another laugher?
No, massively. Yes. Yes, it does. I mean, Ben's scrabbling around a little bit here with the team selection, I have to say. Look, what do I like, first of all, about what's going on here? I like the Patriots being against San Francisco because San Francisco have not been good.
And who knows better? Who knows Jimmy G better than Bill Belichick? Yeah, of
course. So yeah, I like that. I like the fact that Travis Fulgh's already played and he scored 7.3 points against the Giants. So I don't have to say that. I like Carson against Arizona. Other than that, maybe I like Giovanni Bernard against Cleveland. Maybe. But it's only because Giovanni Bernard, I'm a bit like... He always finds a way to Ben's roster every year.
Every year, Giovanni Bernard. Yeah, it's crazy.
He plays him at least once. So this is the Giovanni Bernard week for Ben. Look, I don't like Darren Waller against Tampa. Do I like Cook against Carolina? Yeah.
Well, they're going to be without Sanders and Thomas, so Breeze is going to have to throw to someone.
Do I like him there? I mean, I like him a bit more than I would have done, but still. And do I like Big Ben against Tennessee? No. So yeah, I mean, and certainly do I like Big Ben against Tennessee more than I like Mahomes against Denver? No. That's it. So. But you look down there and you think, right, well, Mahomes against Denver is a decent match. I like it, and I like Peterson. I really pains me to say I like Peterson against Atlanta if he plays and gets good carries. But Hopkins is a bit banged up. It will be in a plum matchup for him. I mean, oh my god, he plays like. Wow. We're going to forget about Sanders. Let's assume that Chenault comes back in because he seems to like Chenault, or indeed he might get left field and play Jimmy Graham against LA. Why not? They seem to be focused on him a lot at the moment. Claypool's been there or thereabouts, but the QB's on the other side. Singletary is playing the Jets, and the Jets suck, but Singletary's not been great all year. Packers playing Houston, which, I wouldn't want to play against that QB right now. Danny Carson's really good. Look, I think this is really all dependent on whether Hopkins plays. Because if Hopkins plays, then you would like to think that he's going to go off. Mahomes is going to be as he is usually. But other than that, I just don't see where the point's going to come from. And on the other side, it's the same story, really. It's Carson has been great when he's been in, but outside the Pats team, maybe Cook, as we've said. I don't know where the points are going to come from either. So yeah, Ben could be involved in 2 gypsy weeks and two. But I hate field skill positions. I really do.
I think it's Phil based on Mahomes and Hopkins purely.
I think so. I think you can't really go outside of that. I think Mahomes and Hopkins have probably got enough to get them to maybe 50 points on a good day.
On their own, yeah.
Yeah, on their own, yeah. And then the rest of them can try and get to 70 or 80. Yeah. Whilst with Ben's, we saw Big Ben last week just didn't fire. And if you don't have a good QB score, you can't possibly win a week. Really.
It makes it very difficult, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it very difficult. Okay then, I didn't cover off the injuries in Gridiron and Bananas game, but Jamison Crowder is the only one that is doubtful with the groin injury there as well. Our next game then, Bare Necessities against Pakistan. Ben Necessities face Pakistan, 2 and 4 teams who cannot afford to lose many more. Ben Necessities have done just that as they've lost 3 in a row. Meanwhile, Pakistan is coming off of a win to very star-crossed teams at this point. But the projections are very heavily favoured in favour of Ben Necessities at the moment. 82-64. Both teams have had a player play already. Freeman only got 0.8 points for Ben Necessities. Meanwhile, the Giants D only got 5 for Pat. Looking down Ben Necessities' lineup, Darrell Henderson comes in for Jonathan Taylor. Cole Beasley comes in for, I guess, Devontae Parker. And Melvin Gordon comes back in as well for, I'm not even sure who. Maybe they've dropped the other player. So, bye-week hell for Ben Necessities. On the other side of the ball, Michael Thomas has been put in, but he will not play. Joe Mixon is already declared out with his foot injury, I believe. So it's really Deebo Samuel and Joshua Kelly, the only 2 options that Pakistan can pivot to right now. A history of this matchup all time. Ben Necessities are 4-3 against Pakistan. Tricky week for both teams, you would say.
This one's another. This one here, Dave. I think this is probably easier to get around than the last game we just previewed. The reason why I say that is that obviously without the lack of Thomas and Mixon, that is a difficult hurdle to overcome anyway. But it looks like Pakistan are just playing unbelievable defenses this week. You know, Tannehill and AJ Brown are playing the Steelers D, who are great. Let's be honest, they're great. If you bring in Amari's playing Washington, who are no slouches themselves. Montgomery's playing the LA Rams, again no slouch. And then you look, Deebo comes in against New England. I mean, unbelievable, but they're still a functioning, very decent defense. And then Joshua Kelly against Jacksonville. That's less of the argument, to be honest. But that could be almost all of their skill positions playing against top 12 defenses.
Certainly in the position group that they're playing as well. Yeah.
Certainly. On the other side, Freeman's gone for 8 yards, but otherwise, and Henderson against Chicago is hateful. But you look at Josh Allen and Cole Beasley against the Jets, and Josh Allen could, conceivably just walk all over that defense. I mean, the Jets have been that bad.
Yeah.
That bad. Kelsey, Denver, that's it, I like it. Melvin Gordon in the same game. Again, you'd like to think he's going to come back in and see the same sort of volume we saw before he got ill. And I say 49ers D against Cam. I'd take that this week. But yeah, it really is bye-week hell for Dave and on the bench there. So yeah, just by looking at it, do I like Pat's team this week? Do I think he's going to go absolutely madman like he did last week? No. Do I think that they can match each other out quite well? Yes. Do I like some matchups on Dave's team better? Yes. That's why I'm going with Ben Necessities.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen against the Jets is all you need to see to.
Indeed.
That's
and he's got one receiver from his team as well, which is
very true. So, yeah,
sneaky start. So that's
Ben
good.
Necessities to finally get back on the horse after a 3-game losing streak.
Very much so.
Our next game then, it's a bit of a doozy. The Dream Team against You Are Gold. The Dream Team take on You Are Gold. One division leader faces another. The Dream Team at 4-2 and You Are Gold at 4-2. Both coming in off losses though. Dream Team projected to take it 107-77 right now. Dream Team have 10 points already from the Eagles defense. Meanwhile, Evan Ingram only got 5 for You Are Gold. Russell Wilson comes back for the Dream Team. And who else comes into the lineup? Kareem Hunt maybe? Or they may have been already playing all of the rest actually.
David Johnson, that's it, I think. David Johnson and the Eagles D come back in, huh?
Yeah, I think that's it. So not a lot of change, just Russell Wilson mainly for the Dream Team. On the other side for You Are Gold, Tim Patrick comes into the lineup. I believe Evan Ingram came in. That would have been over Thielen and Marquise Brown. And Jono Smith, I imagine he's going to play, I guess. I know he was injured, but...
I would expect him to play.
Yeah. Sammy Watkins out for the Dream Team. History of this matchup all time. The Dream Team are 3-2 against you are gold. So, important game for both teams, because if you lose this, it really opens the door for teams in their division to catch up.
Yes, I agree. This is going to be a real barnstormer of a game, I think, between the two QBs. You look at Murray and Wilson playing the same game against each other, and in the same game in our league as well. Do they have the potential to cancel each other out? Almost certain. But then you've got to look down the list of the ragtag bunch of guys that You Are Gold is putting out this week. Yeah, outside of Cooper Kupp playing Chicago, which I do not like in any way, shape, or form. Tim Patrick, Johnny Smith, Bears D, Boswell, everything was already played. And obviously Kenyon Drake in there as well. I don't like it, Nate. I don't like it. There's a lot there's a lot of what ifs in there. What's on the other side? Dream Team's pretty much on a full strength team. David Johnson comes back in, timely coming back in against the Packers. You'd like to think that after last week's absolute shit show, the Cowboys would just put the ball in Zeke's hands. I think that's what's going to happen there against Washington away. It's a big. I don't know why I say it. Every game played in Vegas this year just seems to have this tag of that's it. Playing the Raiders, it's a massive game in Vegas. Well, I suppose it is for Tampa. Goblin will have a bounce back week. So Kittle's been great for him. Kareem Hunt against Cincinnati. Again, I like that. And in the same way as we said before, I said Baker had a bad week last week. Again, you'd like to think that they would go back to what they do best, which is running the ball. And with 10 points from the Eagles D already, that's always useful. So I think they can't look past the Dream Team on this one. You Are Gold had a decent 100-point week and staggered to it last week. But yeah, and Murray and Drake could well have the same sort of week again, but it's the supporting cast that I'm a little bit concerned about. And yeah, as a result of that, Libs, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We were saying earlier in the recap that Russell Wilson is the key to the Dream Team's success, and he should have a good week this week. And I think, as you say, with the rest he's got there, should be enough for him to see off You Are Gold quite handedly. Our next game then, it is the Mitcher against Forge Flyers. The hottest team in the LOC right now, Forge Flyers, on a 4-game win streak, take on the Mitcher. Coach Nanu has dropped 2 on the trot, projected to drop a third, as Forge Flyers are projected to win this one 94-87. Looking down the lineup, Matt Ryan comes from the waiver wide of the starting lineup in favour of Lamar Jackson, who was on a bye. Terry McLaurin comes back into the lineup for Chris, who?
That's it. Terry McLaurin was there, but Jamal Williams
was there. Sorry. Jamal Williams came in favour of DJ Moore, maybe?
DJ Moore, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool, there we go. For Ross's team, unchanged at the moment, it looks like. Oh, no, sorry, he's put Alvin Kamara back in over, I don't even know, Rex Burkhead. But Aaron Jones not expected to play, could possibly play, but probably will be without him, so tough sledding there for Ross. History of this matchup, all-time 5-4 in favour of Forge Flyers. Could you extend it to 5 games in a row, Chris?
I hope so. I've hopefully going to play the percentages here and picked up Jamal Williams when I realised Aaron Jones wasn't going to play, or might not play. So yeah, I definitely want him playing against me. Yeah, I mean, I've gone with the classic Forge Flyers 3 running back set this week. Matt Ryan coming in is I would hope to be a plum matchup here. I cannot see anything else.
Yeah.
Derek Henry's playing against the number 1 ranked Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And I think that if there's one unit's going to slow him down, it could be that. But slowing him down from 40 points to 20 is still a good result. It's the same as Connie. It's a stout Tennessee defense, but nothing I'm too concerned about there. Christian Kirk playing Seattle, great matchup. McLaurin against Dallas, great matchup. Jamal Williams, if he plays and is the number 1, playing against Houston, well, we saw what happened last week when Derrick Henry just literally trampled all over him. I'm not saying that Jamal Williams is Derrick Henry, but come on, he's still going to score some good points. And the Bills D against the Jets. So I'm going with the matchups this week, Nath.
Sure.
On the other side, Rodgers played Houston again, like it. As we said, like the previous game, so Evans playing Vegas, I'd like to think it would be a good, decent matchup for him as well. Diggs versus the Jets, of course, it's going to be all right. And Kamara coming back in as Carolina is timely. I also like the Chiefs D against Denver. So there's a lot to like on both sides. And Keenan Cole, I'm just going to come to pivot back to him. Yes, he's scored a sneaky amount of points every game this year. So certainly is if not the number one option at the moment, certainly the number 1A option right now. So this could be a big scoring game. But I'm going to pull for my team because I have confidence in it after a 4-win streak, which I didn't have at certain points of the year. But maybe that's a bit mislaid because Ross's team has been excellent through 7 weeks so far, 6 weeks, and going into the 7th. Bit of a down week last week, as we saw, but I think there's a reason to happen. It could happen this week, albeit without Aaron Jones, which is a big problem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think without having Aaron Jones, that does hurt because then Russ is forced to playing someone who is not guaranteed much of anything really. And you already said it, you've got some really good players on your team with some really good matchups, where Ross does too, but I think outside of Diggs against the Jets, the matchups aren't quite as impressive. But you're right, I think both teams could do well. I do see your team just absolutely piling up the points though in this one. You've already snagged Jamal Williams, who's going to get a healthy workload. So yeah, I'm going to go with your team in this one too. And then our final game of this week, then it is Tom's Tyrants against Bucking the Trend. Tom's Tyrants face Bucking the Trend. Tom's Tyrants, fresh off their first win, need to keep him coming if they still want to have a chance of making the playoffs. Meanwhile, for Bucking the Trend, they're at 3-3. They need to get back on the horse after a dismal week last week. Projected to do so, though, as actually, I say they are. This is a .10 differential in projection, 99.93 to 99.83 in favour of Tom's Tyrants. Carson Wentz got 32 for Bucking the Trend, so that's a massive start for them. But Boston Scott did well on the other side for Tom's Tyrants. He got 15. In terms of other lineup changes, Justin Herbert comes in for Tom Brady for Tom's Tyrants. And then I guess Jerick McKinnon's probably come in, maybe over Aaron Robinson for Tom's Tyrants. And then Keenan Allen back. No, he got injured last week, didn't he, I think. So, yeah, he's back. On the other side of the ball, Bucking the Trend, Justin Jackson's in the lineup at the moment. He's questionable but should play. Josh Jacobs is in too. I think... Oh yeah, Phil Lindsay came out as well. And there you go. So, history of this matchup, all-time, Tom's Tyrants are... where is it? There we go. 0-1 against Bucking the Trend. So, Chris, take away the final game of the week for us.
Well, I mean, say Carson Wentz has got like his hair is on fire, and 32 points is an excellent score, as we all know, especially from the Thursday night game, and exactly what you want to see going into the weekend. I also think it does help that he's got some real key players back. So you've got Jacobs back, Metcalf back, and Metcalf's in a quality matchup anyway. So I do like the look of that. Robbie Anderson's been one of those guys we've seen across the course of the year. He's been a real sneaky pickup. He really is the number one receiver in Carolina at the moment. He goes and plays New Orleans. As I said, they haven't been as ferocious as years gone by. So I think that they an opportunity there. So Tyreek in Denver's, that's as every week, especially this one. So it got absolutely good potential to do something there. And Justin Jackson against the Jags. Well, yes, let's hope he plays. But if he doesn't, then I'm afraid he doesn't have a lot to turn to on the bench. But yes, it won't be long before Leonard Fournette's back and firing. On the other side, I'm really pleased to see Justin Herbert in any starting lineup, but let alone Tom's. I think he's having a really good day against the Jags. Going against Detroit, that's it. Should be great for him. That's it. Bringing him in with Keenan Allen as well. That's it. Pairing with Justin Herbert can only do good things for Tom. Devontae Adams, that's it, should be a main beneficiary of Green Bay having a much better day. I said McKinnon comes back in as the number one. We saw what happened when he was that before. I said last week's MVP should be again kicking for Atlanta and kicking a good game. And the Browns playing Cincinnati. Well, you know, with any rookie QB, you never know what might happen. I know they got roasted last week, but at the same time, I said this is a game where I think they're going to have a much better opportunity to score. So, do I like Tom's matchups better than I do Mike's? Probably. Do I like Mike's big play ability more than Tom's? Yes. Do I think that's going to translate into a win? Do you know what it means? Do you know what it comes down to? It comes down to the QB. If the QB can score and at least not match up Carson Wentz, but get to the same ballpark region, I think Tom's going to have a really good chance. If he can't, it could be a real down day. I think another sneaky win for Mike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this could be a sneaky good game though. Both these teams didn't have the best of point outings last week, but as you said, some of them are getting some key players back and whatnot. I agree. I think Tom Sarrant's the more likely team to take it, despite the 32 points from Carson Wentz already. From my point of view, Tom Sarrant's had their worst probably play. Would you say that already in Boston Scott, and he's already got you 15? Jarrett McKinnon's the only one that I'm a bit hesitant about playing against that pretty good New England defense, but I think I'm not too hot on Metcalf either. He'll be matched up with Patrick Peterson, so I think he can still do okay because Peterson's not quite the elite corner like he used to be. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I agree. Tom Sarrant's probably to take this one. So maybe they keep their playoff hopes alive. Yeah, it wouldn't. If anyone's going to do it, it's them because they've done it many a time before.
Well, yeah.
I believe 2-5 is what they came back from before. So if they come back from 0-5, that's even more impressive.
I don't think that's ever happened. No,
not 0-5. No, that would be crazy. Right, so we'll go to debate corner now then. John Burkow, could you please? Thank you, John. So, debate corner this week is we have 3 4-2 division leading teams. With the exception of yours, Chris, there are no other teams on the same record in the same division, so you've got 8 out of 4-2 as well. The debate corner topic this week is: which division leading team is most likely to win the regular season title?
Which division leading team is the most likely to win the regular season title?
So that is your Gold, Forge Fires, or the Dream Team.
I think it would be very arrogant of this. And by the way, it's British weather. So my iPad over here, now it's absolutely pissing it down with rain. Welcome to the UK. I think that the Dream Team are definitely in the driving seat for that at the moment. Albeit a down week last week, I do think they still have the potential to be able to, on their day, pretty much turn everybody else over. My team is definitely on a good streak at the moment, and bye weeks aren't a problem because everyone got COVID, and then that's what happened. So after this week, I'm bye week 3, which is also great. But yeah, and selection's even more key for me after that, I suppose. And you are Gold. Well, they've certainly proved to be in the hunt. However, I come back and allow you to look at the points against total, and it's so much less than anyone else in their division. So, whilst you've got a reasonably high-scoring team in Bedernes behind, who I think the wind is with, and if you ask me a week later, do I think Bedernes could potentially win the regular season title? I probably would say yes. So yeah. But as it's currently stands at the moment, I think the Dream Team have done enough for me through the weeks that we've played to tell me that they're going to be in the hunt.
Okay, there you go. I think it's going to be your team, Chris. Of the most likely of the ones there, anyway. You are Gold. Sorry, they've been good, not great, is how I would categorise them. So I think they would need a bit more luck to get the league title. And Viv's team, we've already seen in the last couple of weeks, they are certainly not infallible. They can be beaten. Whereas you're on a 4-game win streak, you don't often see teams go on multi-game win streaks very often, and the ones that do often end up around the best teams by the end of the season. So I think you're well poised to press onwards. You have had very low points against, I will point out, but you have also had very good points forward, and that's obviously the metric that does matter most, because that's the part you can control. So I think your team is most likely. So that is the end of this podcast. We will be back on our usual day, Wednesday, fingers crossed, with nothing else other than Ben's comment of saying, if Dalton had scored 50, though, imagine the Schadenfreude for whoever got him.
That's it. Yeah. Is that going to happen? The answer is no.
No, and no, certainly not. And with that, I wish you a good rest of your weekend, a good next week as well, of course, until we talk. Best of luck with your matchups, unless you're playing me, of course. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Welcome.
Catch you later, guys.